Verse of the day 6 in Psalm chapter 91 verse 7. The psalmist provides a vivid image of divine protection and deliverance. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. This verse reflects the faithfulness of God in shielding his people from overwhelming dangers and adversities. Psalm chapter 91 is a psalm of trust and assurance in God's protection, often called the Psalm of Security. The psalmist likely wrote this during a time of conflict or widespread danger, such as war or pestilence, emphasizing God's care for those who dwell in his presence. The imagery in verse 7 speaks to God's ability to preserve his faithful ones, even when surrounded by chaos and destruction. The numbers 1,000 and 10,000 are symbolic of overwhelming odds and great calamities. The phrase, "It shall not come near you," emphasizes God's personal protection over his people, providing safety amidst adversity. This verse does not promise immunity from all troubles but reassures believers of God's sovereignty and his presence in every situation. It reflects the power of abiding in God and trusting in his protective care. Exodus chapter 12 verse 23. During the final plague in Egypt, God protected the Israelites, passing over their homes while destruction fell on the Egyptians. This mirrors the divine protection described in Psalm chapter 91 verse 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 9-10. God is faithful to protect his covenant people while bringing justice upon their enemies. This demonstrates God's ability to preserve his own amid judgment. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. This reinforces the assurance of protection for those who trust in the Lord. New Testament references. John chapter 10 verse 28-29. Jesus promises that no one can snatch his followers from his hand, reflecting God's ultimate security. Romans chapter 8 verse 31. If God is for us, who can be against us? Paul echoes the confidence of Psalm chapter 91 verse 7, emphasizing God's sovereignty and protection. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 3. But the Lord is faithful, who will establish you and guard you from the evil one. God's protective care continues for believers in the spiritual battles they face. Applications for today. Rest in God's protection. The overwhelming odds in this verse remind us that no danger is too great for God's power to overcome. Believers can trust in his care, even in the face of overwhelming challenges. Abide in God's presence. Psalm chapter 91 repeatedly emphasizes the importance of dwelling in God's presence. Through prayer, worship, and obedience, we draw close to the one who protects us. Have confidence in spiritual battles. This verse assures us that God's power shields us not only from physical harm but also from spiritual forces of evil. Faith in him provides victory over the enemy's attacks. Encourage others in times of fear. Believers can share the hope and assurance of God's protection with others, especially during seasons of uncertainty and fear. Trust God's sovereign plan. While God protects his people, trials may still come. Trust that God's plans are good and his protection is always according to his will, ultimately for his glory and our good. Relevance for the modern generation. In a world filled with uncertainty, fear, and global challenges, this verse reminds believers to trust in God's unmatched power and faithfulness. It encourages Christians to live boldly and confidently, knowing they are held securely in God's care. The promise of divine protection inspires hope and courage in facing personal and global adversities. Final reflection. Psalm chapter 91 verse 7 paints a powerful picture of divine protection. This verse reassures us that God is in control, shielding his faithful ones from harm even in the midst of chaos. As we abide in him, we can face life's battles with peace, courage, and unwavering confidence in his promises. God bless you and give you grace after grace.